Where's the market going? How did we get here? How is it impacting our money? How is it impacting our real estate? How is it impacting the economy? How is it impacting your mental? How is it impacting your life? There's a lot of crazy things happening right now, especially in the Canadian real estate economy, the real estate market, the financial market. It's confusing. But don't you worry, because in this video, I'm going to break it all down, make it simple so all of us can understand. You can use this information to educate yourself. And if you're in the game, if you're in the sales game, mortgages, real estate, financial, whatever it is, you actually need this information so you can increase consumer confidence, because when people know where you started and they know where they're going and they know that they're with a professional that understands that landscape, boom, that's a recipe for success. So without further ado, let's go. The economy, the market. What is happening? There's a lot of stuff out there. There's people telling you to go buy real estate. There's people telling you to go buy stocks. And there's a lot of us sitting in the sidelines. So where are we going to get the truth? It's like back in the day when I wanted to get fit, and I'm still on that journey. It's like people are saying, hey, go eat balanced meals 5-6 times a day. Cool. Or, hey, cut out all carbs. Do it that way. And now people are saying, don't eat at all, just fast. There's a lot of confusion out there. But if you get the formula, you're going to be all right. So in this video, we're going to talk about the formula, how we got here, where the market is right now, and where it's going to go. All right, so let's talk about how it happened. Actually, before we start on what happened, let's try to understand the economy. Okay, the economy is based on transactions. That's what it is. That's the fundamental principles of the economy and how it's robust or not, is how many transactions are in the marketplace. So how can transactions be done? Well, there's got to be an exchange. I want your goods or service, right? You haven't learned something so far. I get it, but bear with me. Let's put some, spice on that. Okay, so now, what does a buyer or consumer need to do more transactions? And the more transactions there are in the economy, the more stable and strong it is. Well, they need two things. One, cash. How much cash do they have to spend in the marketplace to transact? Number two, credit. How credit worthy are they to get loans so they can spend it in the economy and transact? Do you get it? So if you're cash heavy and you're credit heavy and everybody around you is cash heavy and credit heavy, well, guess what? You have a booming market. We don't have that right now, but we had it for a long time. So we have to understand how we got here in order to figure out where we're going. Let's go back to 2008, right? Let's go back to 2008. In 2008, there was a crisis in the U.S., right? It was the credit crisis, started with mortgages. Basically, long story short, because this is not a video on how that started, the economy crashed in the U.S. Canada is U.S.'s biggest trading partner. So if you look at it, our interest rates are similar. So check this out. Because the economy crashed in 2008, we only had about a 6-month period here in Canada where there was that consumer confidence scare. But our economy, our real estate prices were still good. It was stable. So check this out. Follow me. Because they crashed, they had to decrease interest rates and pour money into the economy. They printed money. They were in recovery. They wanted to induce spending. So their interest rates went down. They kept them low. In Canada, we benefited because our economy didn't crash, but our interest rates were low. Employment was good. Immigration is booming. We had all the formula for success in an economy. So now we're following US interest rates, which is down. And they were down for a long time because they were in recovery. We weren't. So what happened to us? Properties, everything became more affordable. Okay, let's focus on real estate here, right? Real estate became more affordable because prices weren't high compared to now, and it was a balanced market. And now all of a sudden, interest rates are lower. Consumers can afford more. Boom. So what happens? They start buying real estate, and they start buying tons of real estate, and that real estate started appreciating. So what did lenders do? Lenders lent because it's in an upward market. You know, you buy something for $400,000 and in 5 years it's worth $600,000. Banks are like, hey, our money is safe. People are transacting. They're good credit worthiness. So there's more money in the economy. Consumer confidence is high. People are going to restaurants and spending money. They're going to the stores and spending money. They're going to get mortgages. Everything is booming. So creditors, lenders, they feel safe. So they lend a whole bunch of money. And buyers feel safe buying money because now they're investing in real estate. That money is going up. We are on the up. So we followed the '08 recovery. And we followed that so well. And there was awesome policies by mortgages and CMHC that induce and easy to get mortgages that whole time, like, you know, longer amortization rates, all these kind of things where we were on a booming economy. So let's pause that and let's see where things are going, where things went after that. So our real estate economy, because of that, became so good. And the demand got so popular that even foreigners started investing in real estate in Canada. People from Nigeria, people from China, people from India, they were like, yo, I want a piece of that market because they wanted to they would send their kids here for school because Canada is safe. Plus, they started buying these properties instead of renting them because our real estate market was booming. The appreciation was through the roof and the rents would cover. Right? Rents would cover. So now look at this. We have a booming economy. Real estate is booming. Local people are buying real estate. Foreigners are buying real estate in Canada. So our properties are just appreciating left, right, and center. Remember, the U.S. is still recovering. Now they're fully recovered. Okay? Fast forward. Now they're fully recovered and they're booming. Well, what's going to happen? Our prices are going to go too high. We inflated prices like crazy. Simple economics tells me the price equilibrium is determined where demand hits supply. In between that little X is price equilibrium. That's where prices are. You increase demand, you increase prices. You lower supply, you increase prices because properties are less, they're scarce. That's exactly what happened here, especially in the Greater Toronto area. There was so much demand, there wasn't enough inventory. So now when inventory came up, they were at a premium because foreigners are buying, everybody's buying, boom, you get it. So we're thriving, and people that hit, they hit. So now, what are you going to do? When demand is so high? The government decided to play in the free economy, which they should have or they shouldn't have. That's up to you. I have my own opinion, but I don't think you mess with economics. I think you let it ride. I'm of that seat. Okay? But they started messing around with demand. How did they do it? They started introducing stress tests. Yeah, your interest rates are at 2%, but we're going to qualify you at 4.5%, 5%. You understand what I'm saying? They're trying to kill demand. By the way, foreigners can no longer invest in Canada. So you're killing demand, right? Now, fast forward to here to 2025, at the time of making this video, immigration is less. So if there's less immigration, foreigners can't buy. There's all these rules and it's hard to get mortgages. Demand is gonna slow. So they're playing this game of messing with the free economy and letting it do its thing. Instead, they're just like, okay, we're gonna insert government policies to slow demand. So that's what happened. Right? That happened about 2017 at its peak where we had a slow market. The market was booming, but with all these policies, it kind of slowed down. Now let's fast track to COVID. COVID happened. Okay, so bear with me. We talked about 2008 and what that happened to us and all these, government policies that were inserted to, mess with demand, interfering with the free economy. We talked about that. Now let's talk about COVID. Man, that time was horrible. However, we told everybody to stay home and we paid them to stay at home for this fear of this flu. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that really was, I don't know. But they told us to stay home. Not only did they tell us to stay home, they started printing a bunch of money. Now, you tell people to stay home. I'm dumbing this down so we understand it. We don't have to be confused. So check it out. They tell us to stay home and they give us money. Restaurants are closed, bars are closed, clubs are closed, gyms are closed. Where are we going to spend this money, y'all? We're at home, so our expenses are low. Movie theaters are closed. Everything is closed where we go out and entertain ourselves and go buy things. So there's nowhere to spend your money. So you know what we did? We felt rich. Because not only did they print money, interest rates were low because they wanted to induce spending in the economy for the fear that there was going to be this big recession. But you know what happens when you do that? Well, you're just extending the recession. Because the economy will catch up to you. And that's what's happening right now. So you pump money, low interest rates. There's no other place to spend your money. So what did we do? We bought a bunch of real estate at inflated prices, y'all. We were buying so much real estate here in Canada, it was ridiculous. It was the biggest price surge in maybe ever. It was a rocking economy when it comes to real estate. Houses were selling over asking. You don't even put the for sale sign on, boom, it's gone. And everybody's bidding because they have all this money and that's the only place they can spend it. Guys, it's a recipe for disaster. The people that bought in 2021 are the ones that are suffering the most right now because they bought at the peak and they bought when interest rates were very, very low. Okay. We're going to understand economics now. When you print too much money and there's too much credit worthiness, lenders are lending money, people are making money, everybody's rich, everything is good. And on top of that, you print a whole bunch. There's too much money in the economy. That's pretty much causes inflation. Remember inflation? Where bananas were double in price, gas was ridiculous, everything was so expensive. Cars were having bidding wars. Remember, there was that chip thing and inflation and holy, now this car that was like $80,000 is $120,000 and people are bidding on these things. Man, inflation hit. So when inflation hits, that's a big scare in the economy. If you're following this video, guys, I want you to rewind it because this is going to be the best video you've ever seen explained in layman's term so you can understand it. And if you're in the business, you can help me increase consumer confidence so they can understand it. So now inflation hits. So now the government's like, woo, pump the brakes. We better start raising interest rates. Because now they got to slow down all the spending. There's too much money in the economy. Let's raise the interest rates. So while the interest rates are going up, we had like so many interest rates hikes in a row, and everybody knew that every time there was an announcement, it's just going to go up. people are not going to buy. People are not going to buy because now your consumer confidence is low, because you're not going to buy something now because interest rates are going to keep going up. So you don't know what's going to happen to prices. You don't know what's going to happen to prices in real estate. You don't know what's going to happen to prices in cars. You don't know what's going to happen. So that was the beginning of the slowdown. Affordability got difficult. Now interest rates just got jacked up. So who's the people that got hurt the most? The people that bought the properties or assets at the peak of COVID. You bought inflated prices. It is what it is. And guess what? 70% of Canadians take a 5-year fixed mortgage. So if the peak was at 2020, 2021, you guessed it. 5 years is 2025, 2026, and that's where we're sitting. All these mortgage renewals are coming up. It's time to pay the piper. Now, because of all the, now people, now stay with me here. Stay with me here. Now, as interest rates went up, we are in a downward slope of the economy. We want to reduce spendings, have less transactions. Okay? Now we're going down. We're going towards recession times. So all you can really hope for is a safe landing, because we're going down now. What happens when they're going down, people have less money to spend. They're losing jobs. They have fear. They're turtling up. And that's what's happening in the last couple of years. Their net worth is going down because their real estate worth is going down. Their whole portfolio is going down. The house that was worth $800,000 is now getting appraised at $600,000. You're $200,000, poorer. And because all these assets are diminishing, lenders don't want to lend in the diminishing market. They don't feel safe. I don't want to lend you $600,000 to buy this property because I'm not sure if it's going to be worth the amount I give you in money to buy it today. I don't know if that's going to be worth it 6 months or a year from now. So lenders tighten up. When lenders tighten up, an individual has less cash and less credit worthiness, so less loans and less transactions in the marketplace. Because there's less transactions in the marketplace, businesses suffer, realtors suffer, restaurants suffer, everybody suffers. So now when you get to go to get your loans, you're less credit worthy because now the banks and the lenders are paranoid. And on top of that, you have less money to show as income. So not only do you qualify for less, they don't want to give you money. That's where we're at. That's exactly where we're at. We are in a down market and consumer confidence is low. So what needs to happen? All right. Let's try to make sense of this. Where do we need to go? I'm a real estate expert, so I'm going to talk about real estate. If you want to know where your stocks are going or crypto, go watch another YouTube channel. I'll tell you exactly where real estate's going, what needs to happen. The ultimate goal that needs to happen is a price correction. It's simple. Real estate right now is overvalued, and the price correction is going to come down from the 2021, 2020 peak. So those people, hey man, sometimes you get caught in the cookie, your hand gets caught in the cookie jar, and it sucks. But if you bought before the peak, you're all right. But if you bought in the peak, yeah. So what happens is because, one more point before I tell you where we're going, not only are we less credit worthy and consumer confidence is down and there's less spending in the marketplace, you're really messed up even more because I didn't touch on this because let's talk about debt. Household debt has never been higher. Because where are you going to get your money from? So all these people that took out line of credits in the peak, well, because they lost their jobs and because, their businesses are suffering in a downward market, people are spending less. We talked about this video. Well, they have things that they committed to. Car loans, mortgages, kids' school, all this lifestyle that they're used to, vacations. Well, where are they going to get that from? You guessed it. Debt. So this is the scary part. Consumer debt has never been higher. People's lines of credit is jacked. Their credit cards are maxed out. So now they are forced to sell their home. They can't afford it. Now we have a surge of inventory in the marketplace. Man, if you're in Canada, if you're in the GTA, if you're in British Columbia, take a look at the inventory. I've never seen inventory this high. Condos have a 7-month inventory. 7 month. It used to be 7 days. You know what I'm saying? And it's continuing to go more because sellers, they were going to wait out the market. Hey, I'll sell next year. I'll sell next year when the market reaches. Hey, guys, we're like 2-3 years deep into this downward market right now. It's been crap for a very long time. So sellers can't wait anymore. They're neck high in debt. They can't afford that house that they overspent on. So there's going to be a lot of bankruptcies that are coming. There's going to be a lot of forced sales. And people are trying to get ahead of that. So they're putting out their properties on the market. What happens when there's too much inventory in the marketplace and demand is low? Look it up. It's simple economics. There needs to be a price correction. Got to wait it out. When prices hit that optimal space point, people are going to be willing to go back into the market. So unfortunately, the prices need to drop, and they are dropping. The more inventory that floods, the less the demand goes. It's going to, there needs to be a price correction for the local market. That's where we're going, right? Now, there's going to be sectors of play. Huge price correction in the GTA condo market for sure. Luxury homes, we'll see. But because people that are buying luxury homes, they have money, but they're going to want a deal. So that's going to come down. Big detached homes, those prices are coming down. Your smaller semis and your townhouses, that's where people probably live. So that's going to sustain. That's going to hold its value and maybe even go up. Because the demand that's left, that's all they can afford. And eventually we'll come out of this. But so for the local market, there needs to be a price correction, or you need to induce outside spending again. Open it up for investors, foreign investors. You can do that. You have to increase. Hey, you guys were so good. The government was so good at slowing down demand. So if you want to increase demand, get rid of stress tests. Let foreigners invest. Let credit-worthy and cash-heavy immigrants back into the country. Make sure that they have money, so when they come in, they buy real estate. Increase the amortization from 25, 30 years to 40 years. So now what that means is basically you pay off your house in 40 years instead of 25. That's cool, but at least the affordability is there. Those are the things you need to do. Maybe get rid of the stress test. But here's the thing. Policymakers don't want to do that right now. They can increase demand, but they don't want to because we have wars happening. We have tariffs happening. Tariff war is happening. Consumer confidence is low. Actually, I think there's probably a good, they're probably at the same page where they're like, okay, we want this price correction, especially in the real estate sector. Man, I don't know. That was a little over 20 minutes, 22, 25 minutes. I don't know how long that was. But, man, you should watch this video again. Pause it, rewind it. I said it fast, but I had a lot of golden nuggets here. If you want to explain the Canadian real estate market to people and you want to understand it yourself, watch this again. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.